Imagine trying to tell a story that's hundreds of thousands of years long. A story with no books, no letters, not a single written word. Well, that's prehistory. And today, we're going to take a whirlwind tour through it to figure out how we piece together a past that was never written down.
This is the big one, right? The central mystery we're going to try and solve. How in the world do we know anything about our ancestors when they left no words behind? Well, it turns out the clues are all around us, literally buried right under our feet.
So how do we actually do it? Well, we basically become detectives. This first part is all about the tools, the methods that archaeologists use to read a story that has no pages.
Okay, so the big secret. It's all about the materials. Think about it. Things like bone or wood, they rot away. But tools, especially stone tools, they can last for millennia. So looking at the most advanced material people were using tells us everything. It tells us about their world, about what was even possible. It's a surprisingly simple, but totally brilliant way to map out the past.
And that idea gave us this incredibly powerful framework, the three-age system. It's so straightforward, it just organizes all of prehistory by the main material of the time, first stone, then copper, and finally bronze. This system is basically our roadmap for today, taking us from the simplest hand axes all the way to the complex metalworking that built the first real empires.
All right, let's dive into the first and, by far, the longest chapter in the human story, the Stone Age. And you gotta understand, this wasn't just one long, boring period where nothing changed. No way, this was an absolute epic of survival, of innovation, and in the end, of finally settling down.
We actually break this massive era down into three main parts. You've got the Paleolithic, or the Old Stone Age. That's the classic hunter-gatherer time. Then there's the Mesolithic, a really important transitional phase. And then you get the Neolithic, the New Stone Age. And that wasn't just a change, it was a revolution that completely transformed what it meant to be human.
And this right here captures probably the single biggest shift in all of human history. We went from being nomads, living in caves and just taking what nature gave us, to becoming farmers, food producers, who lived in permanent villages. It's not just a new lifestyle, it was a total reinvention of our entire species.
So what powered this incredible leap? It was a whole suite of new technologies that were all connected. I mean, agriculture lets you stay in one place, right? That leads to the first settlements. But if you have extra grain, you need something to store it in. Boom, pottery is invented. You have more people living together. You need to clothe them, so you develop textiles. And domesticating animals? That gives you a reliable source of food and power. See? Every invention sparks the next one, building the foundation for what we call civilization.
But, the Stone Age couldn't last forever. The next leap forward was maybe even bigger. Humans were no longer just using stuff we found lying around. We figured out how to transform the earth itself with fire. We learned how to forge the world into our tools.
This brings us to this really cool in-between era they call the Chalcolithic. You can just think of it as the Copper Stone Age. So why copper? Well, it's pretty soft, so you could work it without super advanced technology. For the very first time, people weren't just chipping at stone. They were melting and shaping metal. I mean, can you imagine? It must have seemed like actual magic. And get this, the settlements from this period are just mind-blowing. Archaeologists have found these sites where the houses were actually built underground and they were all linked together by a network of tunnels. You can just picture this bustling underground community, all of them experimenting with this wild new technology.
And we know this wasn't just some fringe hobby for a few people. The proof of metalworking is everywhere in their villages. Archaeologists have found traces of copper in special ovens, in pits, even in everyday fireplaces. That tells us this new skill was spreading like wildfire. It was becoming a central part of their society, and it was setting the stage for the next great age.
But here's the crazy thing. Even with all of this, farming, villages, metal tools, we are still in prehistory. The final, definitive leap, the one that ends our journey and starts a completely new story, that was still to come.
So what is it? What is that one invention that finally draws a clear, bright line between the unrecorded past and documented history?
The answer, of course, is writing. It's that simple. History, by its very definition, begins the moment we start writing things down. It's the moment our species invented an external memory, a way for us to speak across thousands of years.
So who cracked the code first? This world-changing tech seems to have been pioneered in Mesopotamia. But look how quickly Egypt jumps on board. The Egyptians were incredibly smart. They saw the power of writing and immediately put it to use to run their massive kingdom.
And this is where it all gets real. I mean, truly personal. At an archaeological site called Arad, researchers found this little broken piece of a pot. And what's on it? The signature, the name of Narmer, the pharaoh of Egypt's very first dynasty. Think about that. This isn't just a tool. It's a direct message from a specific person, a name reaching out to us from 5,000 years ago.
And with that one signature, that single written mark on a piece of clay, everything changes. We leave behind the world of nameless, faceless peoples, and we step into the world of named kings, of recorded battles, of written laws. We officially leave prehistory, and we enter history.
This whole journey from stone to script really shows you that technology has always been the engine of human change, totally redefining what's possible for us. Writing gave us a way to record our past, literally creating history itself. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What invention happening right now is writing our future?